Next Gen Science here. Today, we're diving into a sci-fi thriller packed with survival and suspense. Spoilers ahead. Grab your popcorn, hold onto your seats, and let's dive in.
Sungjin High School in South Korea seems like an ordinary place. The lives of its students are typical. Some are preoccupied with romantic feelings for their classmates, others pick on those weaker than them, and a few are entirely focused on the grueling university entrance exams that will shape their futures. Exactly 1 year ago, it felt like humanity's fate had changed forever when mysterious purple spheres began to appear in the skies surrounding Earth. At first, they were thought to be alien ships preparing for an imminent and devastating attack, but nothing happened. Fearing the worst, humans launched preemptive strikes against the strange spheres, only to discover that their attacks caused the spheres to multiply rapidly. Realizing their aggression was counterproductive, world leaders decided to take no further action and observe, hoping to learn what the spheres might do next. A year has passed, and the purple spheres still hover in the sky, a constant reminder of their presence. While people remain curious and uneasy about them, life continues. Most focus on their daily struggles and goals, including the students of Sungjin High, who are preoccupied with graduation and their looming entrance exams. Among them is Young Hun, a new student who's entirely fixated on earning top scores. He's introverted and rarely interacts with his classmates, making them wary of him. Do-soo Chul, a chubby and overly friendly classmate, repeatedly tries to strike up a conversation but only succeeds in annoying Young Hun, who avoids him at all costs. Kim Chi-yeol, seeing Young Hun's discomfort, urges Do-soo Chul to leave him alone. Kim Chi-yeol himself is a quiet, studious boy, though he harbors a secret crush on the school beauty, Nara. Meanwhile, in South Korea, one of the mysterious spheres suddenly crashes to the ground, sending shockwaves through the government and military. Troops stationed near the crash site surround the sphere, awaiting orders. Researchers conduct tests and conclude that the alien spheres are not immediately dangerous. However, the military remains on edge, keeping a close watch while awaiting directives from higher authorities. When a general arrives on the scene, he decides to test the researcher's theory himself. First, he fires a rifle at the sphere, but the bullets are absorbed without any visible effect. Frustrated, he escalates to a grenade launcher. As the smoke clears, his decision proves to be a fatal mistake. The purple sphere transforms and attacks, killing all the soldiers in its vicinity. Back at Sungjin High, life seems unaffected by the growing crisis. The student's biggest concern is a foul-smelling classmate nicknamed Fog, who shamelessly disrupts the class by passing gas. Chaos ensues as everyone rushes to open the windows for fresh air. Their homeroom teacher, Ms. Park, steps in, restoring order and redirecting their focus to the results of their recent test. She reminds them to concentrate on their upcoming exams, but the seemingly mundane day takes a turn when the school principal announces an urgent meeting for the teachers. Something important has happened. Kim Chi-yeol tries to follow Ms. Park to eavesdrop on the teachers' meeting but has no luck. Shortly after, Ms. Park returns to the classroom and turns on the television. A live broadcast shows the South Korean Minister of Defense addressing the nation about an alien invasion, calling for a full-scale national mobilization. The South Korean military is struggling to withstand the alien forces and has begun recruiting young people, including high school seniors. Students are required to sign a contract for mandatory military training, which will last 4 weeks. During this time, they must live at the school, submit fully to the military, and learn how to use weapons to combat the highly dangerous extraterrestrial beings. Most students think it's some kind of elaborate joke and don't take the announcement seriously, leading to a flood of questions. Ms. Park, overwhelmed with worry for her students, avoids answering and leaves the classroom, hiding her tears. The upcoming entrance exams are canceled, but students can earn extra points toward college admissions by completing the military training. Though many still doubt the seriousness of the situation, messages from friends at other schools confirm that similar measures are being implemented everywhere. Tu-ha, the school bully, seizes the moment to provoke Young Hun, expecting his usual silence. But this time, Young Hun snaps back with a bold retort, surprising everyone. Their argument quickly escalates into a fight, forcing their classmates to step in and break it up. The tension in the room is palpable, but it's suddenly interrupted by the sight of military trucks pulling into the school grounds, soldiers armed and ready. Kim Chi-yeol becomes the only person to show genuine support for Young Hun, trying to befriend him. That evening, students return home to discuss the military contract with their parents. Some parents insist their children sign it, seeing it as a chance to earn bonus points and secure spots at more prestigious universities. Young Hun knows he has no choice. Determined to study in Seoul, he must seize every opportunity. Others are deeply worried, sending their children to training with tearful goodbyes. But for some, like Tu-ha's mother, the training is a way to straighten out their kids. She refuses to let him skip it, believing this is the only way to turn him into a man. The next morning, students arrive at school carrying their belongings, prepared to spend the next month in isolation. Despite the uncertainty, there's a strange sense of unity. Every student signed the contract, leaving no one behind. Soon, they meet their squad leader, Lieutenant Lee Chun-ho, and his team of sergeants. Lieutenant Lee is responsible for training the students in the 3rd Squadron and assigning their duties. When he asks Young Hun to keep a journal of their training and activities, Young Hun refuses. Moments later, He regrets his decision as the lieutenant announces that the task comes with extra points toward their entrance exams. Kim Chi-yeol, who ends up assigned the task, encourages Young-han to reconsider. He reminds him that this could be a crucial chance to boost his score and achieve his dream of studying in the capital. Reluctantly, Young-han starts to see the value of Kim Chi-yeol's advice. After their first detailed briefing, the boys and girls are assigned to barracks, which turn out to be repurposed classrooms from an elementary school. They continue to act unruly, drawing criticism from the sergeants. Soon, the students are issued combat rifles, but without magazines loaded with ammunition to prevent any accidents. They're required to carry the rifles all day, which proves to be a real challenge. The lieutenant emphasizes the importance of respecting their weapons, making the students run drills that leave many of them barely able to make it back to the barracks. That evening, a video surfaces online showing military personnel shooting animals. Du Suchul realizes this is the first sign of an impending war, as the military likely fears that wild animals will become a threat if they escape. Back at the barracks, Young-han informs the lieutenant about a mobile phone to have it confiscated, sparking another conflict with Tu-ha. The lieutenant attempts to mediate by sentencing both of them to community service. In the courtyard, the students get into another fight, but Kim Chi-yeol steps in to break it up. At that moment, another purple orb falls from the sky, destroying part of the school and landing right in front of the group. Suddenly, the orb opens up, revealing itself as a massive, starfish-like creature. Without warning, it attacks Young-han with its tentacles. The monster engulfs and absorbs the student right before his classmates' eyes. Kim Chi-yeol tries to help, but the lieutenant appears just in time to push him out of harm's way. The jellyfish-like creature morphs back into a sphere, with Young-han trapped inside. The lieutenant realizes they've lost him forever. Mrs. Park is devastated by what happened but recognizes that the students are even worse off, traumatized and narrowly escaping disaster themselves. The lieutenant asks her to keep the incident quiet to avoid spreading panic among the students. Taking on this responsibility, Mrs. Park pleads with the boys to keep what happened a secret. On the way back, a bully warns the class top performer that he'll deal with him if he tells anyone the truth about what caused the incident. Once they return, Kim Chi-yeol and Tu-ha lie to the others, claiming that Young-han was injured and sent home early. Struggling to cope with the loss of a student, the lieutenant reflects on recent events. He recalls being at the training grounds where the first sphere fell. After it was struck by a rocket launcher, it transformed into a starfish-like creature and attacked the soldiers, leaving Lieutenant Lee as the sole survivor. The next morning, reports confirm that dozens of spheres have begun falling across South Korea, triggering widespread catastrophe and marking the start of a war. Military leadership decides to fast-track the students' training, believing they'll need to fight for Earth's survival. Though Lieutenant Lee doubts the wisdom of this plan, he knows there's no other choice. The aliens are far stronger, and only those capable of defending themselves have a chance of surviving. Lieutenant Lee begins rigorous training for the students, pushing them through grueling obstacle courses and teaching them how to handle their rifles with precision. They're tasked with balancing a pebble on their rifle barrels during practice to improve their steadiness. Initially, no one succeeds, and the situation feels hopeless. Later, the students are taught to assemble and disassemble their rifles, but even this proves difficult for them. The level of their preparation is abysmal, and most of the military leadership loses faith in the students' abilities. However, Lieutenant Lee remains their sole believer. After weeks of intense training, the students finally begin making progress, completing the obstacle course with increasing speed and efficiency. One night, Tu-ha ambushes Kim Chi-yeol, threatening him to ensure he stays silent about Young-han's fate. In self-defense, Kim Chi-yeol escapes and hides in a nearby classroom. Once Tu-ha leaves, Kim Chi-yeol cautiously returns to the barracks but encounters a massive jellyfish creature on the way, attacking him. He wakes up abruptly, realizing it was just a nightmare. Needing to clear his mind, Kim Chi-yeol steps outside for some fresh air. While wandering the school grounds, he finds Nara sitting alone in one of the classrooms. She's mourning those who have disappeared, unaware of the truth. They weren't sent away but became victims of the creature. Unbeknownst to her, the military captured the monster and locked it in a metal containment unit to keep the remaining students safe. The next morning, the lieutenant organizes a competition where each student must assemble and disassemble their weapon in 1 minute. Everyone manages it except one girl. She tries her best not to let her classmates down, but she repeatedly fails due to her slowness and lack of focus. The lieutenant orders her to keep trying until she gets it right within the time limit. As a result, the students end up waiting until evening, hungry and frustrated. Many start to blame the girl, but there are also some who defend her, knowing that anyone could be in her shoes. They remind each other that they need to stick together because there's only one enemy now, the aliens. The following morning, the students head out for their first real shooting practice with live ammunition. On their way to the range, they pass through a completely deserted city, unable to comprehend where everyone has gone. The military doesn't inform them that 99% of humanity has been wiped out by thousands of aliens that fell from the sky, as they don't want to scare the students. Upon reaching the shooting range, the students take their first shots, but not everyone does well. The lieutenant assesses their results and offers helpful tips, promising bonus points for their next attempt. The second round goes slightly better, with Nara being the only one to hit the target dead center. Her skill amazes everyone, especially Kim Chi-yeol, who finds himself even more drawn to her. On the way back to the school, the military halts the convoy, asking the students to wait. The children notice numerous bullet holes around them and realize there had been a firefight. While Lieutenant Lee and Sergeant Kim examine the area and discover an alien orb, two students decide to run off. They head to the nearest store, intending to steal food, water, and money, unaware of how dangerous their actions are. Once Mrs. Park and several students realize the two boys are missing, they set off to find them. Soon, the class president spots a weapon and assumes someone must have dropped it, only to then discover part of a soldier's hand, confirming the grim reality of their situation. Mrs. Park moves ahead to survey the area and spots hundreds of alien creatures resembling small starfish. With their tentacles, they move quickly and attack anyone in their path. A group of students that had gone ahead earlier has been completely wiped out, and now they're trapped. Realizing this, Mrs. Park opens fire on the monsters, trying to protect the children, but she quickly becomes another victim of the aliens. Several soldiers attempt to defend the students, but the monsters are too fast and merciless. They attack the soldiers instantly, slaughtering them without hesitation, leaving the students without any support. Terrified, the students run and seek refuge in a nearby supermarket. They break into smaller groups, but soon, they're all cornered. Sergeant Kim manages to save a few students, eliminating the aliens in the area. Lieutenant Lee does the same, allowing two of the groups to merge. However, as the lieutenant realizes that they've only saved a handful of students, he is overwhelmed with guilt. He knows they're not ready for this kind of war. Meanwhile, Kim Chi-yeol and Nara, running ahead of the others, end up completely alone. Three other girls try to escape as well, but the soldiers fail to protect them. One of the girls betrays the group, locking herself inside a car. The remaining girls take refuge in a small room, but the monsters surround them, ready to smash through the glass. The guys who ran into the supermarket hear gunshots outside and have no idea what's going on. When they try to leave the building, they encounter a small monster but don't see it as a threat. The kids start playing with it, thinking it's cute, until it begins to attack them. They have to fight back and escape, eventually trapping the monster in a fridge, where it's quickly killed. Meanwhile, another group of students hides in an underground parking garage. They try to get to the other survivors, but the aliens attack them here too. Splitting up, the students manage to shoot a few of the aliens and save each other from the monsters. Once the alarm sounds, many of the monsters flee. This allows the groups to head outside and regroup. Lieutenant Lee saves the girls locked in a glass building, but he ends up in danger himself. Thankfully, sharpshooter Nara arrives just in time and takes out a small monster. Soon, all the students and surviving soldiers join forces to search and clear the area. Hearing sounds nearby, they think it's the remaining monsters and provoke them. Lieutenant Lee throws a helmet in their direction, only to discover it's a group of lost students. One of the girls fires a shot and almost hits her classmates, once again showing she's unprepared for the war. Some time later, the surviving group of students returns to the training base, shocking the others with their appearance. The other classes have no idea what's happened and are unaware of what's going on outside the school. Lieutenant Lee realizes he can't leave the kids, even though he has the option to transfer elsewhere. Returning to the classroom, many decide to quit their military training and go home. Lieutenant Lee asks everyone to calm down and reminds them that they signed a contract, meaning they are soldiers and can't leave the school grounds. Despite this, the students continue to argue. More and more of them want to escape and return home to their families, but not everyone thinks this is a wise decision. After discussing it, they come to the conclusion that it's better to leave and skip the school exams than to keep risking their lives. The class writes a collective petition, but Lieutenant Lee rips up the paper, forbidding them from leaving the school grounds. At night, the class continues its training, but it becomes increasingly difficult, causing many to give up. The lieutenant sees their tears and sympathizes with the teens, but he knows they have no other choice. Meeting with the leadership, he sees laboratories where soldiers are trying to develop effective weapons. Only one type of bullet can destroy the aliens, but it's only effective on the smaller creatures. Larger alien monsters aren't scared of gunfire, so the decision is made to find a new kind of weapon. The lieutenant informs them that going home is pointless because their parents have been evacuated to a safe place. That night, the students decide to check this for themselves and plan an escape with a small group. 4 guys try to leave the school grounds and use Du Su Chul as a decoy. Despite all their efforts to escape, the soldiers stop them. The lieutenant reminds them that they are soldiers and must fight, otherwise, they'll be executed for desertion. The class refuses to tolerate this and tells the other students about the war outside their school base. Soon, they attempt to organize a mass escape, but things spiral out of control when new purple spheres begin to fall. The school grounds are attacked by thousands of monsters, and the soldiers do everything they can to protect the kids. They use all available weapons, but there are too many aliens. As a result, dozens of soldiers and children lose their lives, while the survivors try to hide in the school. In the chaotic retreat, only a few students and soldiers under the lieutenant's command survive. The commander tried to escape, but his vehicle flipped over, making him easy prey for the monsters. Realizing that staying here is too dangerous, Lieutenant Lee and Sergeant Kim ask the students to arm themselves. Dividing into 2 groups, they attempt to make their way to the trucks and head to a safer location. Hundreds of monsters continue to attack them during the evacuation, causing more students and soldiers to lose their lives. The first truck manages to leave, but Sergeant Kim is left behind to fight the monsters alone. Lieutenant Lee tries to save the second group but sees that one of the girls has fallen and broken her leg. He stops to help, but it's too late. The aliens have attacked the girl to eat her. Realizing there's nothing he can do, Sergeant Kim joins the group and urges the lieutenant to save the others. After a brutal fight, only two small groups of students manage to leave the school grounds. Lieutenant Lee is deeply affected by the loss of the group, as these were children he was responsible for. The whole city is on fire, and hundreds of spheres continue to land on Earth, destroying everything in their path.
Don't forget to subscribe for more epic videos. Hit the notifications bell and drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching.